Hi everyone! Today we're going to go over the proportions of the face and the planes of the face and how that changes when the portrait is turning a different way than just straight on. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to draw a face pointing straight at us. So I'm going to draw kind of like a line of all these different portraits. So I'm going to start on the left and I'm going to draw a circle. So this circle represents the skull, the cranium part of the skull. So right here, if I have a skull straight on, it looks like an oval. From the top of the head to the chin, it looks like longer than it is wider. If I turn turn the skull on the back here has like a really big, it's like almost half, right? This part is where our brain sits. And so when we draw that first circle, that's what we're drawing. And then the next thing we're gonna draw is the center line, the brow line, and the jaw. So from the front, it's the center line, so that goes going down the middle of the face. The brow line, that's going across, kind of where the eyebrows sit, right where this bone's sticking out. And then the jaw, which looks more like a triangle. So we're gonna draw the circle first, and then attach like the rest of the face and the mandible or the jaw on after. So we're gonna draw our circle first. I'm gonna draw my center line. I'm gonna cut the portrait the circle in half here, and that's gonna be where the eyebrows are, or the brow line, or the brow bone. All those words mean the same thing. It is the bone, the part of the eyebrow that sticks out, and part of the skull that sticks out, and the eyebrows usually rest right on top of that. From here, I'm gonna draw a little tick mark down. This is representing the hairline. The hairline is where our hair starts. So on this portrait here, you can see that the hair is right here. If you draw the hair starting up higher, that means that the hair is starting here on the top of the head. So we're going to put the tick mark for the hairline. Then we're going to take this measurement right here from the hairline to the brow line and go 1, 2, 3 down with it. So 1, and then 2. You can erase or make your line longer if it was a little off. And then from here, I'm gonna cut into the head a little bit. So this is the outside of that skull, of the cranium. So if you guys look at the skull here, this is the outside. And so when I draw this next line, it's showing where the face is starting compared to how far out the skull goes. Down and down. The jaw bone has a little bit of like a corner, has like a little bit of like a turn. So on the skull is right here, the pointy part. On some people it's really defined, on some people it's not so much, just kind of depends. And that's going to be a little bit under the nose, and they have to be parallel, as I should say, they have to be the same angle of whatever the brow line is going. And I'm going to connect it down to the chin. So then from here, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to switch to pencil. What here I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of block in the rest of the portrait, thinking about what are the very rough proportions of the face. And so this kind of measurement tool I'm using only works if the portrait's facing straight on. The second someone tips their head or lifts their chin, these proportions aren't as useful. But we're going to go ahead. I want you to draw a line straight across here and here. And we're going to go and draw a circle again. And now we're going to draw a side view. Make sure you're holding your pencil like an artist. I'm going to do, I forgot what, I think I said side. So let's do a side. So I'm going to go ahead and put the center line. So the center of the face is now facing towards the left. I want to make sure that's even with what I've already established. And I want you to think about how this part of the head is about half as the face. It is technically a little bigger, and it also kind of depends on how much the person's turning away from us. But for this, we're just going to do half. I'm going to connect the jaw a little bit lower than the skull. I think it's a little too high. I'm going to do the brow line. I'm going to cut the circle in half. The brow bone doesn't go all the way to here. It stops and kind of starts to angle down and actually starts to turn into the cheekbone. So it's going from here and it kind of cuts down this way and then wraps around with the cheekbone. And then I'm going to take my same proportion for the nose. The nose is about a little bit higher up than like the base of the skull. It kind of depends on how the person's tilting, how long their nose is, but you want to make sure that it's not longer than this. It's like a little bit higher. Okay, and then I'll do one more and I'll go more into the features. So this line I've drawn right here is this line of the face turning away. So I'm going to draw a little tick mark so I know how tall to make him. And this is going to be 3/4. So I think 3/4 is not the hardest one to draw, but I think that this one is so mirroring, right? Like whatever you draw here is going to go here. This one's cut in half. This one has a lot of foreshortening going on. And so when you have a lot of foreshortening, you have to be careful that you're not drawing things to be the same thing. So I'm going to draw it 3/4 here. And as I turn to the side, I want to round this center line first as it comes down. Because I'm trying to show that this is a sphere. This has a curve to it. I'm going to cut the circle in half. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I have to think about where that face is starting, where the corner of the jaw is starting, where the cranium is going to start turning back here. It's about 3/4. Then I'm going to use my jawbone here and here. So on this side, this is where the foreshortening starts. It's going to be a really steep angle here. And on this side, it's going to be a very long angle to show that he's turning away from us. And then I'll put the the brow bone there. And then the nose. So all these proportions are even. It should be 1/3 from hairline. I'm gonna put HL, hairline, to the brow line, BL, the nose, and then the chin. So that's end of the nose and the end of the chin. Those are the three ways to cut the face up when it's facing straight on. So then from here, some more rough proportions I can put. I'm going to go back to this first one. I'm going to go ahead and put my brow bone in and my keystone. So my keystone on this guy, we can see it pretty prominently right here, going from the top of the brow bone to where the nose starts. So from here to here has something called the keystone. We simplify it in art as an upside down trapezoid. So it's wider on the top and more narrow on the bottom. And so we're gonna draw it here and here for the front view. So I'm gonna draw it again on this one. Since I can't see it, right, it's turning away, I can't see that front plane of it, I'm just gonna put a downward turning angle. And then for this one, this is kind of where we have to think about how the face is curving. So the center line has to actually come out more with the nose. So what that means is that the nose is not going to stay flat against the face. The nose is going to have its own different angle. So when I start to put this center line in, it has to start to curve with the rest of the face. So it's starting here with the forehead and going down with the keystone now. The end of the eye socket is about roughly half. Let's see. Yeah, I would say it's like roughly half. between the nose and the brow, here and here. And then starting from the eye socket, we're going to take off for the nose. So the nose actually cuts into the eye socket. It helps form that superhero mask shape that we talk about sometimes in class. The nose has 4 planes. So it has the front plane here, but that's the one in light, the side plane, and the side plane that are usually in like a mid-tone if the light's coming from the front, and then the bottom plane, which is the dark. So I'm going to take off from there. I'm going to draw my 2 lines. Almost everyone's nose gets a little wider at the bottom than at the top. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear, that that change is happening. The bottom of the nose has that trapezoid shape, like this. So we have front plane here, side plane, bottom of trapezoid. So there's 2 different trapezoid shapes. There's the keystone and the bottom of the nose. I think having those 2, they're usually both in shadow too. Having those 2 planes is really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it from the side. So the nose again comes out, right? From the bottom plane, it's going to go back down and in. From the side plane, it's going to cut into the eye socket. It's going to go down and meet with the bottom plane of the nose. And then again, it's still going to be a trapezoid shape because I'm going to show that I can see a little bit of that front plane. And then this one looks a lot bigger, so let me just, oh, it's a little lower. Okay. I'm going to make this one a little bigger and the other one a little smaller. And then from here, I'm going to draw it from the side, the 3/4 view. So again, I have my, and depending on how much of like a person's turning away, so from the side view here, it could be a possibility that we won't even see that front plane, but usually there's going to be some type of highlight sitting on it. From the 3/4 view, again, depends on how far away someone's turning their face, and then also how their nose is shaped. So it's hard to give a straight answer of like how the nose will always be in the 3/4. So I'm not gonna draw this 4th plane over here, but sometimes it will be there. I'm instead gonna draw the first plane, the front plane, a lot wider than this one. I'm gonna draw this side plane cutting into the eye socket. I'm going to draw a foreshortening angle on that side of the trapezoid and then a long angle on this side of the trapezoid, and then make sure it has to get wider as it gets to the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and put the ears in. The ears are roughly top of the brow bone to bottom of the nose, roughly. You just want to make sure that there's some space between the ears and the corner of the jaw. And then from the front view, we could maybe see like a little bit of the ears. I'm going to put 2 little tick marks. But again, this would be more so like how someone's ears, how much do they stick out on their own, not really like a proportion drawing thing. And the reason why I did the ears now is because we're going to take from the top of the ears, we're going to go from the top to the bottom corner of the jaw. And when we do this, it's actually going to cut a little bit into the eye socket. Go here to here, here to here. Make sure your center line's straight, so mine's starting to get a little wonky. Tops of the ears to the corners of the jaw. Tops of the ears to the corners of the jaw. On this side, I can't see that line as much as, like it won't be like this type of curve. Instead, it's gonna be, you wanna think about like how the this bone, right, this line we're drawing right here is starting to represent that cheekbone and that shallow, not shallow, the plane change from the flat side of the plane to the side plane of the face. And so on this side, since it's curving, it's going to curve up and around the eye socket and just kind of go down as like a straight for right now. It's very subtle. Again, this is a lot of foreshortenings going on with this one. Once I have pretty much like the first half of the face established, right, I can go down to like the chin and the mouth. So the mouth, you really want to think about how much the teeth affect the lips and how much the lips are protruding off of the face. So if I just look at the skull again, right, look how much more the teeth are sticking out compared to the bone of the nose. So we have cartilage that sticks out, right, probably like right here or so. But you want to think about that the mouth and the teeth are farther out than the keystone. So you always want to check that as like in your drawing to make sure that the mouth is further out. So starting with the front view of the face, I'm going to draw 3 lines, and I'm going to take the bottom of the nose here and the bottom of the chin. I'm going to separate that into 3 equal parts. So again, I'm going to go 3 equal parts from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. And then I'm going to draw 2 circles. So the first circle I'm going to draw is separating this bottom third. That's going to be the chin. And then the second circle is going to be from the bottom of the nose, going out towards these lines, and then touching the top of the chin here, and then coming back through. It should be more oval shaped than tall. So I'm drawing a circle there because we want to think about the teeth as almost like a half circle, the mouth as a half circle, because the teeth, when they're in our, the teeth are lined in our mouth as a half circle. So, and then the lips and the skin of the lips wrap around that circle. So when I come to the side view and the 3/4 view, I think it'll make more sense that it's going to stick out further than the center line. And then again, I'm going to come over here. So circle. And the smaller circle for the chin. So that bottom circle is just the chin. I really like to establish that height of the chin. So right from here to here. He's a little tilted, this guy, but from here to here is his chin. I really like to establish that because I think sometimes people can kind of run out of room and make the face go smaller and smaller and smaller as they draw down the face, and then they kind of have a tiny, tiny chin. And I think this also helps place the mouth. So then I'm going to take my tick marks. I'm going to move them out a little bit here. And then this one, if you notice, I originally put it out a little further because I would think about this like a ball. The center of the mouth would be there instead of on that center line because the mouth is coming out. The nose and the mouth stick out a lot on the face. This is coming out a little too far on the nose, so I want to make sure to tuck it in because the nose sticks out the most on the face, so this is coming out a little too much. And then from here, I'm just going to establish the eyes and the mouth, and then that'll be it for and the neck, and that'll be it for the basic proportions. So the eye roughly, right, is going to be this equal distance apart on either side of the brow bone, and it's going to be a circle. The eyeball is a circle, and then the skin of the eyelid changes what the eye shape looks like, but the eyeball is always a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle here. And you want to think about the eyeball is pretty big compared to how our eye looks. So like in the skull, the eyeball has to sit in this area, and then our skin's gonna go over it. So I want to make sure my eyes are the same size. I'm gonna go ahead and erase some of my lines. Make sure you draw pretty light. Again, from here, I'm gonna draw. The ball is gonna look the same from this side, and then the skin of the eyelid and stuff is going to change. And so will the iris. The eyeball will still be the same, but the iris is gonna change. And then again, one more time. Oh, I'm gonna draw this farther side first. I had a teacher tell me once to always start with the harder side because your mind's a little fresher. And so for this side here, there's gonna be some overlapping happening. Or like that nose is gonna come a little bit more into the front. And then I think this space is too far, so I originally made that too big. So that's okay, we're just gonna change it. And then right here is kind of like where that highlight would sit on the portrait, or a lot of times in photographs and in makeup and like magazines, you always see a highlight on someone's cheekbone. It's always gonna be like right here at the top plane of this line, and then as it turns to the side, it's gonna go darker, just so you guys know. And then for the mouth, the lips, I like to kind of first, instead of drawing like this like very cartoonish shape for the lips, I want to just kind of establish where the tops and the sides are going to be at and the bottom. So halfway on the eye, or if we just take a straight line down, that's going to be the corner of the mouth. So that's going to be where the lips end. Here and here. And then the top of the top lip and the bottom of the bottom lip varies a lot among every portrait. So I'm going to put a rough estimate, but just keep in mind that this is going to change. Typically speaking, the top lip is a bit thinner and the bottom lip's a bit thicker. So I'm going to put those tick marks in. From the side view, this like measurement of measuring halfway on the eyeball and the tick, like that kind of is a bit harder to apply because we're changing the way the face is facing. So I'm going to start right at the end of my ball, a little bit more forward. I'm going to put a tick mark there. There's this, we're going to get into it in another video too. There's this pattern for the lips, but it goes down for the top lip, up for the bottom lip, and then back down for the bottom of the bottom lip. And actually the bottom lip sits in a little bit more than the top lip because it's going down the circle, right? And down the circle it would be a little bit lower. And the reason why it gets light is because the plane is upward facing. Just gonna connect a line here to here. I can connect this line too, I just didn't. And then it's gonna go back up to connect with the chin. And then as far as the side plane goes, again, it's hard to kind of, if we measure straight down, I'm gonna be outside the circle. So we have to kind of think of how it's moving a little bit with the face. So I'm just gonna draw a little tick mark at the end of my circle, a tick mark at the end of my other side. And then you have to keep in mind that the left side is gonna be shorter. So I'm gonna put a rough estimate of where I think the bottom and the top lip are gonna be. And then this is gonna be a really short line, it's gonna be a really long line here. And then let's put in the cylinder of the neck. So the neck, you don't want to make it too skinny or too wide. We're not looking at like a reference photo of somebody, but I'm gonna kind of imagine that it's not gonna be wider than his corners of his jaw, and it's not gonna be like itty bitty because it has to support the weight of our skull, the weight of our brain. So I'm gonna go about halfway on this angle here. And I'm gonna make a half circle at the bottom to show that cylinder. So from the front view, it looks like it's kind of going straight up. And from the side view, we have to think about how the spine is curving up towards the head, and it's not just gonna be straight. So there's a little bit of like a tilt to the neck. What makes it not seem like it's tilted is, I'm gonna draw it in a second. And this space looks really wide right now, right here. You got to keep in mind too that that would be hair. That would be someone's like ponytail pulling up. This would be like, this is all, this looks really big to us right now because it's not shaded in. There's nothing drawn there. So there's this little piece of like skin that goes and connects the bottom of the jaw to that neck there. And then we have another muscle that goes from the back of the ear to the front of the neck. I'm just going to draw it as a line right now from the side. It would just go here and here. And then from the side view, again, the neck's going to connect. Look how far back I put it, right? This is the back of the head. This is where the neck is. So you got to draw the neck to support that head. And draw that line for that muscle going from here to the front part of the neck. And then I would see a little bit of this other one here. And the last thing I'll do is I'll kind of cut 3 lines on the top and 2 lines on the bottom of the eyeball to show the eyelids. So everyone's eyeball, no matter, or eyelid, I should say, always has 3 angles on the top and 2 on the bottom. So I'm going to start about halfway on the eye, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So in a bigger drawing, it looks like this. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do, and this should be the longer one in the front. So I should make mine a little shorter. And then this the next one I'm going to do. I'm going to draw that corner of the eye, and then this is going to be 1 for the long and then 2 for the short. And then 2 things to note. 1, it's always going to have an angle going this way, that this is the highest part of the eye here, and this is the lowest part of the eye here. It is not like up and down. You're not going to have like a really round eye like that, where like this is the peak of that. And then 2, the bottom lid always connects up into the top lid. So there's an overlapping with the top lid and the bottom lid. From the side view, we would still see those 3 lines, but it's just going to be very foreshortened. So again, we want to think about how we have to start about halfway on the lid. So it's going to be 1 super steep angle, 2 almost straight, and then 3 going down. And then we have 1 long one and then 1 short one. And then from the 3/4 view, we're gonna have, these 2 will look a little similar to each other. This is gonna be a bit more stretched out because it's facing towards me. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3. Draw the little corner of the eye, and then we're gonna have 1, 2. Okay, so this would be the rough proportions of the face. Knowing these measurements in your head is going to really help you guys move forward in your artwork and really be able to kind of plant where things are. It gets a little more complicated when the face, if the chin's facing up or if the brow's facing down, because some of these proportions don't really apply. But it's really good to kind of know this and know how to draw, like roughly sketch these things in with these proportions. Thank you.